Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Nadeem Khan and today we are going to learn the Valediction, Forbidding Mourning. This is a poem by John Donne, who is a metaphysical poet, and we have already done one poem by him, that is Go and Catch the Falling Star. And in that poem we have already discussed what what is a metaphysical conceit. So if you still have not watched that video, I would suggest you to watch that video first and then you can come to this, because this is a little complex video and here you will find so many conceits. Okay, so let us begin. So in this poem I have tried to simplified it as much as possible, because the poem is little complex. So here I have added some of the animations or some photos so that you can understand, you can understand the idea, and with the pictures or with the animations you can remember the ideas can be stored in your mind. So before going to the stanza, we would first understand the core idea of every stanza, then we will proceed to the stanza itself. So in the first stanza, what poet says is that virtuous or saintly men die, but even after their death people do not feel like they are no more with them. They remember them in their memory, and this is how they keep them alive. Okay, so this is the basic idea in the first stanza, and you will also find in the second stanza that the poet himself wants the similar kind of departure from this world. Okay, so let us read the lines now. As virtuous men pass mildly away and whisper to their souls to go. The first two lines of this stanza mean the same thing, that when the virtuous or saintly men pass away, I have added one picture of a saint. So when saintly men pass away from this world, they pass so delicately that nobody uh, gets any kind of harm, nobody feels a great change. And third line says, while some of their sad friends do say the breath goes now and some say no. So by this line he wants to say that some people or some friends believe that they have gone now, but some say that no, they are still with us. So the idea is this. So before moving to the second stanza, let us understand the core idea. In the second stanza he says, so let us die similarly. So he is asking to die in the similar way the saints die, without any mourning. So he does not want any kind of mourning when he dies. He does not want any kind of tears, or he does not want any kind of crying. It would be again. And moving further he says that if we tell our about our love to the laity, it would be against us. We should not tell about our love to the laity. We will find it. So let us begin. So let us melt and make no noise. So by this melting he wants to say, melt away from this world, die and make no noise. No tear floods nor sigh tempests move. So by saying this, so I have added this animation of weather alert, so to show you that he is talking about that I do not want any kind of flood of tears. I do not want any storms. Tempest means storm of sighing, of crying, of anything. So when I go, I want to go peacefully. It were profanation. Profanation means something which is indifferent, something which is related to inappropriateness. So he is saying it would be inappropriate of our joys to tell the laity of our love. So we do not want to tell about our love to the laity. Laity is a kind of person, church member. Okay, so but here I would ask I would ask your attention to the title of the poem itself. If you see the title of this poem, this is Valediction. You have to understand the meaning first. Valediction is a kind of speech which is given on somebody's farewell. So he is saying valediction, it is a kind of saying something somebody is saying about the farewell, but there is colon and then he is saying forbidding mourning. So he is saying I do not want any kind of mourning when I go away from this world. Okay, so now we can move to the, now once you read this, you will understand it easily. So let's move to the third stanza. So in the third stanza, the core idea is that sometimes earthquake scare people a lot. They bring harm to the people and the property. The first image I have mentioned here is related to this idea of earthquake only, and he is saying in the next point, the third stanza only. So he is saying, but the shaking of the planets, uh, like there are planets in the space and they are sometimes shaking as well, but that shaking is much greater than the earthquakes, but still we consider them innocent, because I think he is saying this because they do not cause any kind of harm, any kind of visible harm like earthquakes do. Okay, so let us read the third stanza. Moving of the earth brings harms and fears. So moving of the earth means earthquake, brings harms and fears. Men reckon what it did and meant. So he is saying that men here sometimes say that what they have done in that world, in their world, and what they start thinking about their deeds once they are near to the death. But trepidation of the spheres, though greater far, is innocent. So by trepidation means the shaking of the sphere. Sphere here means planet. So the second animation which I have mentioned in this slide, it is related to this idea only of the planets who are revolving and they are shaking as well at the same time. So that impact is much greater and higher, but we still consider it innocent. Moving to the fourth stanza, the core idea here that there are some lovers whose main attachment is physical love only. They are not connected spiritually. That is why when distance comes in between them, the distance removes the origin of their love itself. You understand, you have to understand in this manner that there are people who are loving couples. So the main idea of that couple is physical attachment. So once physical attachment is removed from them, or they are put at a distance from each other, so the core idea of their love shatters, it goes away. So they do not have any uh, focal point, the center point to uh, focus their love on. So the fourth stanza says the same thing. Let us read. Dull sublunary lovers love. So dull he is calling it the lovers love. Sublunary means the lovers who are below the moon. So below the moons, here he wants to say on earth you can call it, or he is calling it that it is not a celestial love, it is not spiritual love. So he is calling it the love which is below the moon, whose soul is sense. Whose soul is sense means that the couple or the lovers whose main idea is the sense only, the physical attachment, cannot admit absence. Cannot admit absence here means that they cannot at all tolerate the absence of their lover. Absence of the lover means they cannot tolerate the distance, because it doth remove those things which eliminated it. So by the last line he just wants to say, because if the distance comes, they cannot admit the distance, absence of another partner, because once absence is there, distance is there, so the main idea of their love is no more. Okay, so now if you read this you will understand it. Moving to the next stanza. Okay, this is the fifth stanza. So the main idea here is, now he talks about the love between him and his wife. So he is saying that our love is refined one, not physical but spiritual. Okay, he is saying this in the fifth stanza. So let us read. but we by a love so much refined. So we here means the poet and his wife. So he is saying, but we by the love of so much refined. So he is calling his love refined. Okay, but that ourselves know not what it is, enter assured of the mind. So he is saying that our love is so much refined, we are so much connected to each other, that sometimes we ourselves do not know how much we are interconnected, and we do not know what it is exactly, that what makes them connected, okay, in the reality. So he is the last line, careless eyes, lips and hands to miss. So he is saying that in the last line that they care very little about the physical attachment, like the eyes, lips and hands. So by saying this he wants to say that they are not concerned about the physicality, they are much more spiritual, their love is much more spiritual. Moving to the sixth stanza, here he says, but we are one. However, they are two souls, but he is saying that our two souls are one. So, if I go, so he is saying that if one person goes away, or his poet is himself saying that if I go, so he is saying that however our souls are two, but we are one, and saying that if I go, then I would not consider it as a breach. Rather, I would consider it as an expansion of our love. Okay, so he will give one metaphor of gold. That is why I have added gold there. And the first picture in this slide is referred to their refined and spiritual love. Okay, so let us read the sixth stanza. Our two souls, therefore, which are one, though I must go, endure not yet a breach. So he is saying that if I must go, I will not consider it a breach. A breach means a kind of fissure, but he would consider it as an expansion, like gold to airy thinness beat. So he is giving a simile here of gold. So he is saying that our love would be expanded as gold is expanded when it is beaten. So if we beat the gold, it will not uh, vanish, rather it will become thinner and thinner. And he has written airy thinness. The gold will become very thin, but it will expand in the area. Okay, so you can imagine the idea which he is proposing to you. So let us move to the next stanza, that is stanza 7. So let us look here. So from this stanza 7, he starts the metaphor of compass. So sometimes students get confused with the compass imagery. So here compass is the this one, the first picture which I have mentioned, not the navigational compass. So do not get confused with that. So let us begin. So in this stanza he starts the metaphor of compass. He says that our two souls are two legs of a compass. Two souls, the husband and wife, they are like the two legs of a compass, and the wife is the fixed one. The wife is the fixed foot, and only moves when other moves. So he is saying that we both are two legs of a compass, and the wife is like the fixed one, which which sits at the centers always and does not move. If it moves, when only when the other moves, the other leg moves. Okay, let us read the poem. If they be two, they are two so, as if twin compasses are two. Thy soul, the fixed foot, makes no show to move, but doth if the other do. So the idea is same. If you read it, you will understand it. You have to understand the idea, then you read it the stanza one time or two time, you will understand. Okay, moving to the eighth stanza. Here the idea is he will continue the same idea to the end of the poem. So he is saying that though one leg is at center and leans and straightens as the other leg moves and comes back. So he will further the idea of this compass. So he is saying, and though it is in the center set, yet when the other far doth roam, it leans and hearkens after it. So he is saying that however center leg the center leg sits at the center, does not move, but it only leans and hearkens after the other leg moves, and it grows erect. It goes erect means it straightens when the first or the other leg comes back to its place. Okay, so you have to understand it. It is little difficult to understand, as I mentioned in the beginning of the poem, but you will get it. Okay, so this is the last stanza. So in this he will continue his metaphor of compass. So the wife would be the sturdy foot, and that will help him to complete his circle and come back where he started. Okay, so he is saying that such will thou be to me. So basically, by this idea of compass, you have to understand that he is saying that if I leave this world, my wife would be determined in our love. She will be the sturdy foot, sturdy leg of our love, of the represent as the representation of our love, and that will keep our love alive. Okay, so by the idea of compass, you have to understand that he is talking about this idea that when he goes away, so the wife will not mourn for his death, rather she will be determined and she will carry the love forward. Okay, so let us read the last stanza. Such will thou be to me, who must like the other foot obliquely run. Thy firmness makes my circle just. So this is very important. Thy firmness makes my circle just. Line very important. So he is saying that the thy means the wife's firmness makes my circle just. So if the center foot is not firm, it's not sturdy, so the circle will not be complete. Okay, so you have to understand in this manner. So if the center foot is very sturdy, firm, then only the other hand can complete the circle. So circle here is also implying to complete their love. Okay, so the completion of love is highlighted here by the symbol of circle, and makes me end where I began. So he is saying that if you keep firm, if you keep sturdy, so that will make me come where I had begun from. So where from the point I started, I would come back to that point only. Okay, so the poem is little complex, but if you pay attention, if you have a 2 3 readings of this, you will definitely understand. But if you still have any doubt, you can write me in the comment section, and you can ask any query if you have. And with this, we have come to the end of this poem. So thank you so much.